Leadership Legacy Radio, where we inspire you to live your dreams, encourage you to take massive action, and be your authentic and genuine self. We focus on 3 pillars. That's empowering youth, equipping leaders, and enriching marriages so that you can go out and dominate your space.
If you're ready to dominate, you're listening to the right show. This is the Leadership Legacy Radio. Now let's go.
If I'm muted. Welcome. Super excited to be with you guys today. Let's talk about ideas don't build dreams. Your action does. You know, for a long time, one of the things that paralyzed me, stopped me from taking action was the feeling of, what would people think of me? What would others, say about me? And I posted something today, and I got a few laughs, and but then I got somebody saying, "Man, that's true." When was the last time that somebody's opinion of you paid your bills? Don't worry, I'll wait. To be honest, never. It's never happened, and it's never going to happen. And so today, what I wanted to do is I wanted to break down 3 things that I think about when I think about building your dreams, building the life that you want, getting promoted, whatever it is that you're trying to do right now. Are you being intentional about doing it? Now, it's the time for thinking needs to stop, right? It's okay for you to think. It's okay for you to do that. But I want you to start to take action. Like, stop letting fear stop you from moving forward. Some people feel like being busy is great, but that's you just overthinking. That's you not moving. That's you procrastinating, right? So I need you to take action. Action is productivity. It's getting after it. It's going to do it, right? The second thing that I want to share with you is imperfect action is better than perfect intention. Most people have great intentions. They have great intentions, but they never take action, right? And so I intended to call you on your birthday, but I didn't, right? So you can't always procrastinate because you want to wait for the perfect time, the perfect moment, for things to be right, for the ideal situation to come. You won't always be ready to take that step, but you do need to take the step. And your progress is going to come from you taking that next step. I was having a conversation with a young man recently, and it was really funny. We were talking, and he was like, "Yeah, I was wanting to wait for this, and I was trying to make sure that this was right." And I said, "Okay, wait. So what you're telling me is you're waiting for step 27 to get clear. You want step 27 to get clear before you take step 1. Take step 1. Progress comes from you taking action, from you moving into motion, from you doing the things that you've been called to do, right? Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for everything to get done. Done is better than perfect. So start messy and grow forward. You heard me right. Grow forward. The last thing that I want to share with you is the importance of not letting fear take a grip. I remember thinking about when I was little, I would go to this place, and it was called Big Dock. And what it was this big pier. And my friends would come down, and we would basically go down, and what it was a big pier with these tourist boats would come in. And what we would do is we'd go down to the pier, and a lot of people would go, and then they jump off and go into the water. Now, if you took the time to look at this pier, what tended to happen is you'd start to get scared. You'd be like, "I'm not jumping off of that. You see how high this is?" And then I would see these little kids, smaller than me, just walk up and jump off. And why is that? It was because they didn't have any fear. It's because they didn't know what to expect. They didn't develop these thoughts that, "Oh, what is that person going to think of me? Oh, what am I going to look like when I hit the water? Oh, what about this?" All of the what ifs. If you live your life thinking about what could happen, what may happen, you will never take action. And so I remember going to the pier one time, and I get there, and the first couple of times that I went, I never jumped off, and I made all kinds of excuses. "Oh, I didn't bring a change of clothes. I didn't do this." And so I finally get down there, and I get to the pier, and I walk up, and I literally just jump off. And I think I forgot, I had my necklace on, I had my watch on. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I got out of the water really quickly and I was like, oh, my watch is waterproof. My necklace isn't going anywhere. I'm fine. But it was because I didn't think. I just went through and did it. But what can tend to happen is you can overthink things. The same thing happened to me when I was in the military. It was super challenging because, oftentimes, we get this perception that people are watching. All these people are watching. And the truth is, nobody's watching you that much. Like, nobody's paying that much attention. And so I get excited because I went to this conference. I got inspired by my mentor. He had mentioned that, think about it. When you go on vacation, what do? You get excited when you're getting ready to go on vacation. And so you're excited because you're going to something. Who are you going to see? What are you going to do? How is it going to look? How is it going to feel? But when you leave something, you often get a little bit scared. So, what tends to happen is most people, when they get to the point in their career, when they're about to get out of the military, what they do is they tend to get a little bit fearful. And I'll tell you, it did. It became a little bit, challenging because you're like, the fear of the unknown. What do I expect when I retire? What happens when I no longer have a steady paycheck? What happens when, and all of these what ifs. But I decided to take the advice of my mentor because he said, listen, when you plan to go to something, things get better. You get inspired. You're motivated. You're fired up. And so I had planned to have a transition. My plan was that I wanted to, before I retired, I wanted to replace my income that I was getting in the military. That was the goal. How can I replace my income? And that goal was in my mind. I want to replace my income. I want to change. I want to do these things. I want to get better. So as I started to do that, my thought was, okay, I have to show up for the best version of myself, but I can't wait till I got perfect. And what I started doing was thinking about what everybody else was thinking. What is my supervisor going to think? What are my leaders going to think? What are the people that I work with? What are they going to think? And it was all about like, what did they think? And I never thought about what do I think? And it was challenging because one of the things that I started to see is as you get close to retirement, you will notice that a lot of people will do what we called in the service is they would go road. And it was retire on active duty. They would show up to work, they would do the bare minimum, and they would just wait it out. And that wasn't me. I was built different. So not only was I going to build my business, but I also was going to take care of the people around me because I wanted to be the best leader that I could be. The only reason I went to that conference was because I wanted to be the best leader that I could be for my team. And so my goal was to show up the very best way that I can, to support my team, to make them better, to make myself better. And I just found myself at times being paralyzed because I was like, I want to build my business, but I don't want it to seem like I'm not focused on my business. And really, the thoughts that came in my mind is, what are people going to think of me? They're going to think that I'm not committed. They're going to think that I'm like road. I'm retired on active duty. But my actions showed them differently. I showed up. I still did the work. I still volunteered. I still showed up early. I still stayed late. But what I was doing is I was intentionally building my business when I said I was. I talked to my wife about building my business early in the morning, building my business at lunch, and building my business in the evenings. So we made an agreement, and it was really funny because at one point Sharita said, oh man, check this out. If you're going to invest in your business, we need to invest double that into our relationship. So she already made it intentional. She was like, what we're not going to do is we're not going to build our family around the business. We did a lot of that when we were, in the military while you were serving, and we traveled with you. We did all these things, but what we're going to be intentional about, and I was very intentional about this too, is we were going to build our business around our family, not the other way around. And so that was really important because that made me very intentional about like, okay, if I'm going to spend lunch working on my business, I need to make sure I spend, this amount of time spending with my wife, talking to my wife, working with her, doing things with her. And that was really important. So we had to get really intentional because that was really important for us. So as you start to build whatever it is that you're trying to build, if it's building your legacy, if it's building your business, if it's trying to get promoted, Ask yourself this: am I worried more about what other people think, or am I worried about how I show up and what I'm doing? As long as your motives and your intentions are pure, people are going to say what they want. And trust me, the last time that somebody's opinion paid my bills was never, and it's probably never for you. So stop overthinking it. Don't let that paralyze you, because one of the most important quotes that I enjoy now and I live by was a quote by the quarterback for my football team, the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts, when he said, I had a purpose before other people had an opinion of me. And guess what? People are going to still have an opinion of you after you do what you do, while you're doing what you're doing, but let them. One of the books that I'm reading right now that I'm really enjoying is by Mel Robbins, and it's just let them. Are people going to talk? Cool, let them. And then the most important part after you let people talk is you tell yourself, let me walk in my purpose, right? So regardless if you let them talk and let them have their opinions, you need to empower yourself to let me walk in my purpose. I want you to go out. I want you to take action, build clarity, and go out and do the things that you've been called to do. It's important that you dominate your space, not focus on your left and the right. Do the things that you've been called to do. So I'll ask you this. What is one thing that you've been sitting on for the perfect moment? Because you need to take action. You need to take an imperfect step. Do it messy. Fix it along the way. Be confident in who you are and go start. Because as you start to do this, you aren't going to become confident as you start, but you are going to become confident when you start. So go out and dominate your space.